I know the specific question that your colleague asked about is this question about birthright citizenship and its impact on Bahamians who give birth in the United States under this executive order in the United States. So we asked our office in the U.S. and our lawyers in the U.S. to have a go at this and give some kind of explanation for it. Now, let me tell you what our basic position is with regard to all these matters. This is domestic policy of the United States. It's none of our business, right? So whatever they decide about their rules, they are our rules. We have a set of values ourselves, and remember uh, that citizenship in our own country is not conferred by birth in the place, because you get citizenship of the Bahamas by descent, not by birth in the place. So that's the first thing. But that apart, this is their policy. And so what the analysis says is this. On the 20th of January 25, United States President Trump signed an executive order titled Protecting the Meaning and Value of American Citizenship, initiating the process to end birthright citizenship, which prevents automatic citizenship to children born in the United States to undocumented immigrants and those in the country on a temporary status, tourist, work, or student visa. The executive order is to come into force 30 days from the date the order was signed, which would mean the 19th of February 2025. So, what is birthright citizenship? According to the 14th Amendment, Section 1 of the Constitution of the United States, passed by the U.S. Congress on the 13th of June, 1866, and ratified on the 9th of July, 1868, it states the following. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws. And remember, this amendment was passed to make it clear that slaves, African slaves, and their children and descendants were citizens of the United States, because there was a big argument about whether slaves were actually citizens. So, what this suggests is that anyone at birth is classified as a United States citizen. However, the new executive order mandates at least one parent to be a United States citizen or a green card holder for a child to qualify for U.S. citizenship at birth. So, what they say the impact or possible impact on Bahamians carrying a non immigrant visa. According to this advice, all Bahamians carrying a non immigrant visa, including participants in the visa waiver program, as well as F1 students, B1, B2, that's tourists, H4, H1B, those are temporary work visas, L1, L2, E1, E2, E3, TN, and O1 visa holders will be affected by this executive order. President Trump ordered agencies not to recognize citizenship for children born after the 19th of February 2025. And in accordance with Section 2A of the executive order, it says, it is the policy of the United States that no department or agency of the United States government shall issue documents recognizing United States citizenship or accept documents issued by state, local, or other governments or authorities purporting to recognize United States citizenship to persons of who are unlawfully present or temporarily present, mother and non-citizen fathers. All right. Tourist visas. Children born to Bahamian mothers carrying a tourist visa will therefore no longer qualify for United States citizenship unless the father is a United States citizen or permanent resident. Employment visas. Children born to Bahamian parents who are on a temporary work visa like the H-1B visa will no longer qualify for United States citizenship, and the parents will likely have to apply for a dependent visa for their children. Student visas. Children born to Bahamian students will likely face challenges obtaining United States citizenship if they are no longer entitled to citizenship at birth. Petitioning. U.S.-born children will lose the ability to petition on behalf of their parents once they turn 21 years of age, as they too will no longer qualify for United States citizenship under the new policy. It should also be noted that Bahamian immigrants who have applied for a green card and are experiencing delays are likely to experience further delays. Additionally, active immigration cases may leave Bahamians vulnerable, as courts could become overwhelmed. Legal challenges. So immigration advocates have filed several lawsuits challenging the executive order, with some arguing that it violates the 14th Amendment. Additionally, 18 United States attorneys general have filed a lawsuit against the administration, which claims that, quote, the president has no authority to rewrite or nullify a constitutional amendment or duly enacted statute, nor is he empowered by any other source of law to limit who receives United States citizenship at birth. As of Thursday, the 23rd of January 2025, a Seattle United States District Judge blocked Mr. President's executive order, citing that it was blatantly unconstitutional, and this temporarily prohibits the President and any federal employees from enforcing the executive order for 14 days until a further hearing on the 6th of February to consider the preliminary injunction. The judge expressed intent to review a long-term injunction in the coming weeks. So that is our analysis of where we are, and it appears, therefore, that the circumstances, I've spoken to this publicly before, the circumstances where women leave this country largely for medical reasons, because the pregnancies are difficult or for other reasons, they go in the hospital in the United States, have the child. It appears that that child, if this order is successful, can no longer claim citizenship at birth and, of the United States, and therefore they will have to fall back on their citizenship by descent. So if you're, as you know in our law, if you're a Bahamian woman and you're single, you can get citizenship passed on to the child, unless you yourself receive the citizenship by descent, in which case, if this stands, the child is stateless. And that's another issue. I think international law prevents a child from being stateless, and therefore it would seem, I'm not a lawyer, but it would seem that the place where the child was born would have to recognize citizenship of the child at birth. So all these things have to be. I've also indicated that there are a number of cases where women have had children in the United States and relied on the United States welfare system to have children. And that prevents the person, my understanding is, I'm advised, from getting a visa if you use the U.S. welfare system to go back to travel to the States. Also, if you don't pay the hospital bill, many people have absconded, not paid the hospital bills in the States, you again will be disqualified from getting a visa to enter the U.S. That is my advice and understanding. So that's as much as I can tell you at this point. And I guess if you have questions, happy to
Has the ministry been in contact with the United States? We saw over the weekend mass deportations with some Spanish countries. Has the ministry been in contact with the United States as regards any Bahamians that could possibly be deported back?
No, but deportation is a thing which we deal with every month. In any case, people whose sentences in the United States expire, and they're deported back to the Bahamas. The issue that has arisen in the past, and some of our diplomats have flagged this, is that we do not have, as I said, citizenship by birth as a result of being born here. And there are a number of people, mainly Haitians, who have left this country, gone to the States, do not have Bahamian citizenship, and fall afoul of the law, and then are deported. And the U.S. has been insisting on sending them back to the Bahamas, which we've refused, and so they end up in Haiti, which is where their citizenship is. So that's a bit of contention. In some cases, not a large number of cases, but that's the only sort of hiccup there.
Minister Mitchell, you talked about all the cases where women do have children away, but there's one category, and you have to be blunt. People go over there strategically so their child could have citizenship. Is the advice saying, hey, you might as well just stay here and have your kid because you run there's so many risks when you go over there and this borders place?
Well, you could say that. I can't say that. I can't tell people where to have. I can't tell people where to have their children. You have your children where you want to have them.
Minister, are you able to provide us with an update on the situation in Haiti? I mean, in terms of um, the multi-nation effort that's going on, security mission led by Kenya there, and also how concerned are we now as the U.S. begins to really like tighten up on its immigration policies? That the Bahamas somehow is in the crosshair of seeing like people that flee Haiti coming here at mass numbers again, or trying to.
Well, the deployment is ongoing. It's a marine component. There was a bit of a hiccup because the boat needed to be refurbished, and I think that's been done. So the theater is Cape Haitian, not Port-au-Prince, and the numbers aren't quite up to where they are as I understand it, but the particulars I think are best left to the Commodore of the Defense Force. From the foreign affairs point of view, our commitments have been met, and we hope that it inures to the benefit of the Haitian people. What was the second part of the question?
It's about how the policies out of the United States regarding its immigration policies. How do we, or is there any concern that somehow we will start seeing people trying to get here in mass numbers?
Well, when people ask me this question about masses coming here, I always quote the IOM report. I think it's from 2006 or 2004 that we had done, and they said that the people who come here, who are here from Haiti, all of them are in one stage or other of heading to the United States. They're not coming here; they're headed to the United States. So whether you're here working for 10 years or whether you're here for a day, the destination is the U.S. So we watched with care the words of the incoming Secretary of State as he appeared before the committee who was confirming his nomination. And he appeared to adopt a similar position to the Biden administration on how to deal with this issue, because we were concerned that given what their supporters were saying prior to the 20th of January, that there would be an absolute drop in support for the mission. That, it appears, is not the case so far, but we wait and see. But part of that commitment is a commitment to put the resources at sea to prevent that kind of mass migration.
And we were firmly against when President Trump suggested that they send deportees here from other nations. We saw in Colombia tariffs were put in place immediately. They reversed their decision. Is there any fair? Should we have an opposal to any policy or anything that he put in place that there can be sanctions against the Bahamas?
I've declined on all previous occasions on commenting on any policy of the United States government, and that's my position today. I have no comment on their domestic policies. Their policies are their policies. The Bahamas gets along well with the United States, and I expect that will continue.
Will the Bahamas make any objections to the appointment of Herschel Walker as ambassador to this country from the U.S.?
There's nothing before us to consider, so there's nothing for me to comment on that at this point.
I guess I have a question. Switching gears, but I know last week you said on multiple occasions that that political data that was published in the Tribune last week is something that the opposition could be responsible for.
I said they are responsible,
they are responsible
for it. I
for
didn't say
it.
could.
They are responsible enough.
Yeah.
And we heard the leader of the opposition and the chairman noted that they had nothing to do with it. I know you also said that if it was up to you and it was you, you believe the person that published it should be sued. Is there any investigation going on as to who could have possibly published this political ad?
I suppose we are investigating, but the newspaper could tell us, that's all. Who paid for it? I don't believe the leader of the opposition for 5 seconds, but
Has the PLD reached out to the newspaper to see if that's a possibility?
let's put it this way: we're trying to check to see who did it, but in a sense, it's irrelevant. We believe it's the F&M, and that's our story, and we stick into that.
Just
Mr. Mitchell, I have a question. Just switching gears from Linton's question. So following the indictment of Donald Ferguson II, I know there has been word that there may be a request for extradition. Now that he's in Bahamian custody for his alleged crimes, can the government of the Bahamas deny that request?
You probably should speak to the lawyers about it, but because I'm the extradition minister, so I've tended to decline talking about those things. But the Extradition Act does provide for circumstances after the courts have adjudicated upon the matter, does provide for certain circumstances where you might refuse, but I can't really speculate on that. Yeah.
Minister, as PLP chairman, a lot of people have said, or some people, or we've heard from people, that the movement of the administration at this point, the optics are that you all are in campaign mode. Branch meetings look more like rallies, that sort of thing. Is the party in campaign mode?
I run a perpetual campaign from the time the election is
So you
finished.
never stop campaigning?
I never stop campaigning. I never stop campaigning, and it's my intention to beat the Free National Movement. They don't deserve to come back to this country's governance. They ran the country badly. My example of them is the swimming pool was green the whole time they were in power in Fox Hill. They couldn't even keep the swimming pool blue, for God's sake. So on what basis would they be coming back to the Bahamian public asking for, coming back to governance? They got to be joking.
Minister, not for me twice if elections will take place before the end of 2025.
That's the Prime Minister's call. But whenever the election is called, it is our intention to beat the Free National Movement and remind them of their poor record of governance in this country. That's our job. We've said that the country needs to have stability. Stability comes with two terms. We know that the country has suffered because one party wins, they cancel what the other party does. That needs to stop, and the Bahamian country public needs a period of stability for the country, and that's what we're saying. Let's have a stable platform, which carries us to. Let's take the formation of values. So we started the Urban Renewal Program because we believed that in the long term, urban renewal was going to be one of the social programs that helped in the formation of values. So we get the program started, everybody agrees it's a good program, and then in their wisdom, we get fired. And as soon as that happens, the program is canceled. So all of the work which built up, the bands that were formed in the various communities, the attachment to the leaders in those communities, that went by the wind. We come back, we have to restart. And then we get fired again. And you're back to square one. So we're saying that in value formation, you really need 10 years to influence what happens. I went to class in my class in my constituency, and I asked them, for example, these are sixth graders, so they're 10 and 11. I asked them, how many of them went to church? 5 out of 30 raised their hands. Okay, so that means 25 don't go to church on a regular basis. Of the 5 I asked, what's the name of the church you go to? The 5 of them, none of them could tell me the name of the church they went to. So that tells you something. And why am I saying? I'm not trying to churchify people or any of those things, but churches provide value formation. And value formation takes place in the ages between 6 and 12. You have a more difficult problem post 12 years age. Once somebody becomes a teenager, you got a problem with value formation. So if you want to influence what's happening, why people can just pull out a gun and shoot someone in the head and think nothing of it. If you want to form values, you have to get to these kids early. So in my own constituency, we're starting a program with the churches to try and see if we can get youngsters back into Sunday school. It's the Anglican Church has a huge tradition of this. Father Pugh at St. Anne's, Father Calvin at St. Barnabas, Father Cooper at St. Agnes would literally go in the basketball courts, say, "Y'all come here, put your cassock on, you serving in mass. And by the way, have breakfast afterwards." That's how you have to do it. You have to find a way to get the younger people into value formation. And that's what the PLP is about. And that's why we're asking this country for a second term to finish that work.
And just as a update, what is the training or the program in place for those who want to run under the PLP and election aspirants? How is that going? I think you did talk about that maybe last year. How is that?
We did just such a module last weekend. We had 110 people in the module. They paid $300 to participate. We were oversubscribed. We had to turn 40 away. There's going to be another module in the springtime in May, and this is a serious effort. I mean, we want people to prepare for public life. Public life is not an easy thing. It's not something you just roll out of bed and do. You have to be prepared for understanding the Constitution, the party's rules. You have to learn to like the people that you work with, and you have to be able to explain policies to people. And you also have to know when to bite your tongue and not say things that you shouldn't say and not act in a particular way as a public figure. Very, very difficult job. And the more we can train people in this, the better.
And the timeline of when people will actually get confirmed?
Well, it depends, of course, on when the election is called, but the election is not due, or the House will not stand dissolved until the 10th of October, 2026. And there's no expectation that anything will happen anytime soon.
And with these aspirants, are these all people that know political experience, or do other senior members are seated also?
All parliamentarians have to, if they want to renominate, have to undergo the process. This includes senators and members of parliament, but there's a wide range of people. A political party has to have renewal. Grafton Eiffel, as a police officer, told me that every year the police force has to have some people from the birth cohort of every year, because the good people in the birth cohort know the criminals and the bad people in the birth cohort, and the police force has to therefore be relevant. Political party is the same thing. I abstracted the lesson from that. We want to get some from every cohort so that they understand the generation that they're a part of. And, we have a low barriers to entry so that the party is highly democratic and open, because that's the best way to serve the country going forward.
And you said members of parliament, but to confirm that it's also the prime minister himself.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Final question from you. Are you able to say maybe how many current members of parliament have applied or submit again to? Yeah.
Well, we haven't gotten to the process yet of people having to write for renomination. That's the candidates committee. But right now, the course is being done because it's Michael Manley used to say, a sine qua non to nomination.
Mr. Incumbent government has not won re-election in this country since the 1997 election. How do you read that as a student of history? And it does not seem to be a very good time even globally for incumbents.
Well, to quote Pierre Trudeau, the late Pierre Trudeau, just watch us.
Thank you, Minister. Thank you so much.